an adventure. It's a bit breezy, but it's Lough Erne, what do you expect? The loch is actually very, very low. They're drawing off the water for the winter storms, and then every winter we get storms and the whole place gets flooded anyway, so it makes you wonder what was the point in doing it in the first place. But hey ho. Anyway, let's see what today brings, shall we? Time for a coffee, I think. Sit and enjoy the trees turn into golds and browns and oranges. Anyone that doesn't love the autumn, something's wrong with them. We've got some survey guys cutting up and down the loch on a big boat. They picked a really really good day for it. Apparently we're getting 20 to 25 mile an hour winds, which isn't so bad. You know, last year some of the storms I fished with the 45 to 50 mile an hour winds. That's my rod pods bleeping. The drop arms are still up. I think it is definitely the wind. I mean, like I said earlier on, I physically had to screw the rod pod to the jetty because it was moving. So that gives you an idea of some of the wind that we're getting. Here I'm kind of tucked in behind the van, so the van's acting as like a windbreak. I've got 3 baits out at the minute. I did have a 4th, but I took it in because I couldn't. Where I was fishing was where these guys was buzzing about in this boat. So instead of getting the line tangled up with the boat, they just kind of wound it in. I'm going to have a chuck around with the deeper in a minute. It's just charging up at the minute, but I'm going to have a chuck around with it to see what the water temperatures are. That isn't the wind. I have a wagtail, a little bird, a little black and white bird, and it's currently hopping from rod to rod pod to the other rod, back to the rod pod. Oh, there's so in it. So that's what was making the old alarms tickle there a minute ago. Wildlife, gotta love it. The loch is definitely down an awful lot. It's down a good 6 feet. Easily a good 6 feet. You wouldn't normally see any of the boulders here. Normally they'd be underwater. They're doing it to drain off the system so that when we get the winter floods in the upper and the river, it empties out into the lower. They do it every year, but every year we still end up with massive flooding in the upper. The rivers are busting the banks. We have people that are managing it that I don't think they know what they're doing. But hey ho, such is life, I guess. Such is life. I'm going to show you now how I make a trace that I pop baits up on. Now yes, you can use any trace. All you would have to do is push a... Pardon me. All you would have to do is maybe push a small stick like that into the bait's mouth, and then use like a wire to secure this here to your trace, so that when you get the pike in, if the bait's gone, you're still getting this, because you don't want the pike to eat this. There's also other ways of doing it. There's ways of injecting foam into the baits, foam sticks like this, and you would use a a tool like this here, you pull this out, put the foam in there, push this into the bait's mouth, and then push down the plunger, and the foam goes into the fish. Now again, you don't want the fish to eat this, so you're going to have to get, before it goes completely inside the fish, I leave a bit out and I push wire through it and wrap it around and secure it to the treble, last treble in the trace, just so that the pike doesn't get to eat this. This can be stood on, it can be bit, it can be, you know, chewed up by the pike. Doesn't really matter, it still remains buoyant. These are actually pretty good. But today I'm going to make one of my special pop-up traces. These traces, you start off with your normal wire. I'm using 45 pound AFW because I have it to hand, and I'm going to attach my trebles. These are owner trebles, so I'm going to attach my trebles as I normally do. I'll put on my little crimp. Again, all the wire and the crimps and the hooks, I all get these from Eddie Turner. His link is in the description and below. So slide on your crimp, put on your treble, okay, no, it's still there. So as normal, bend the wire, wrap it around the trace, back through the eye, and then you take the tag end and push it through this little loop. I've explained what choke knots are, I've explained what why I use choke knots. I could really have done with leaving the tag end on this a bit longer, but we are where we are, we just have to deal with it. There we go. Take your little hook knot puller, pull your wire tight, pull your tag end tight, slide your crimp down, and pinch with your crimp pliers. Again, with crimp and pliers, you don't need to squeeze the balls out of it. You can just kind of give it a nice firm pinch, and that'll be it, secured. And that is your knot. That is your hook tied with the choke knot and backed up with a crimp. You will pull the hook straight rather than that breaking that joint. Now I need to measure, for my pop-up traces, I like to measure 30 inches of wire. Normally my dead bait traces are between 24 and 18 inches. But because I want to pop them up, I want to make them just that little bit longer. So we're done with our wire. Some of you might be asking, why the hell do I have a tape measure, or it's what's actually called a tailor's tape measure, in my tackle box? Well, that's quite simple. If I catch a fish and I want to know how long the fish is, then something like this is great. It's nice and visible, you can see how big things are. It's great for scale. I could set the fish on the hooking mat and lay the tape measure across the fish. It doesn't hurt the fish in any way. The fish just lies there and I take a picture that lets me know that the fish is however many inches longer, or long it was. And take my silicone sleeve and slide it down. The visitors just pulled in behind me. I wonder will they come out and talk to me. Right, so that's one treble attached.
A few moments later.
Sorry for the delay. I don't know what happened with that rod. I think maybe the wind knocked a spool of line off the drop arm. There was nothing wrong with the bait, and while I was away, a pack of the crimps blew away. Woo! So now I have to go and order crimps. I've enough to get me by, so I'm not in desperate dire need of them, but it's just a pain in the tits. But this is why I make up most of my rigs at home. Right, so we're at the trace point. Now we're going to put on our second treble. Slide treble onto a wire. Pick a distance. You know, a good distance apart. And then do the knotless knot, 5 turns, and then back through the eye again. That's the wind. The wind has now changed, so the wind, instead of going that way, is now coming this way, which is awesome. Oh well. Another glorious day. Then you take your little silicone sleeve thing. And you put this on. There wasn't that many crimps in the packet anyway, and what happened, most of them blew out onto the lid of the bait tray, or the box here, so I just have to order some more, stock up. So there we have our trace attached, 2 hooks that's going to go into the bait. Here's the interesting part, here's the fun part. For this you will need a crimp. Slide the crimp down. You will need a length of old wire. I have this from an old trace. Fold it in half. So it looks like that. Then you take on a clip. Slide the clip down so the clip looks like that on it. Now you're going to thread these 2 ends into this crimp. I usually do this about 1 inch from the treble. It can be a bit fiddly, so you just have to kind of keep going at it until it gets it done. And then you crimp it into position. Again, you don't have to squeeze the life out of the crimp, you just have to press it down enough that on this, this one here isn't holding anything except your floater sticks, or your length of wire that's going to run through your bait. So just trim this off. And then we take a rubber sleeve. I do have one somewhere. Yep. No, that's a big one, don't need a big one. I should really sort this tackle box out. So you have your normal trace, and then you have your little clip attached by a little bit of wire that you're going to thread this onto, and this is going to cover your little loop. When you go to attach anything to this, you just simply pull the rubber sleeve down, attach your little link, and away you go. And do this to the top. This is why I don't tend to throw away the old traces. I tend to recycle as much as I can. So we've now slid on a crimp cover and a crimp. Now we're going to slide on our ball bearing swivel, and we're going to attach it the way we attach the treble. Fiddly, fiddly, fiddly. And through the eye of the loop. I'm fishing a 3-rod spread at the minute. It's too windy to put 4 rods out, so I can't be bothered with the, that boat still sitting out there. I don't know what it's doing, but it looks like it's collecting. It's dropping a big tube into the loch and bringing up so it must be taking like a sample of the dirt or something. But it's weird to see them out on the Sunday. Right, so there is my pop-up trace. Let me show you what I do now. For this, we need a bait. So let me just get all this stuff put away before it blows out of the box. No, not a run. The drop arm's still up. Okay. We might have a run here. Sorry about that. I had a small jack that managed to make off with my perch and throw the hooks. It didn't look big, it looked about £2. But I must have been fishing over something kind of zebra mussely because the lead didn't come back with it. So this is why we use a rotten bottom link. So we're back to the pop-up trace. Here we have a bluey and we have a baiting needle. Put the baiting needle into your bluey and you can push it out the side, it doesn't really make a difference. All you're doing is making a channel. And then we're going to put this out through its bonce, its head. Now, that's a little foam pop-up ball, and this is the length of old wire. This is old stuff that I've recycled off traces. There's two ways to do this. Well, there's two benefits to doing this. One benefit is you're putting wire through the middle of the bait. Now if it's a soft bait like a sardine, this is good because it means that you're adding an extra little tiny bit of strength to you're adding another little bit of support to your bait, which means you can get a better cast with it. Some people don't like blueies, believe it or not. For me, the jury's out. I've caught pike on them, but never nothing of any size. So the jury's out. The drop arm still staying where it is, and the wind's getting a bit windier. So now we take our trace. Remember the trace? This whole video started with us trying to make the damn thing. And we pull our rubber back. We connect our little clip to our pop-up, like so. Push the rubber down so it covers the lump or the little clip. And now we can attach the hooks. You can attach the hooks wherever you want, really. And there you have it, a popped up bait on the trace. Now, yes, this is fiddly. Yes, it can be a pain in the ass, but when it works, it's really good. When it works. Let's see if this one works. It's cup of coffee time again. It's just gone midday, I think. Yeah, 12:10. I want to discuss something that's very dear to my heart with you guys. Now, it might sound like a rant, but I'm trying to keep it, you know, without the swear words. I'm tricky keeping it just so it's the facts. When I was a small child and getting into pike angling about the age of 11 or 12, we read about Great Lakes and Great Lochs. And many of the great lochs in the Republic of Ireland, two of them were kind of infamous, legendary you might say. And these were the great western lochs of Lough Corrib and Lough Mask, down in County Galway. Now I have a good friend that lives in a place called Clonbur, which is, if you look at the map, Clonbur is smack in the middle between Mask and Corrib. This guy, I won't use his name because I don't think it would be fair to him. He owns a bed and breakfast, and over the years he has catered for pike anglers, trout anglers, course anglers, hill walkers, mountain bikers, just general people. He has catered for them. He turned an old family barn and farmland into a really top end bed and breakfast. Now, I spoke to him before I'm going to mention this, and he's asked not to be identified because he genuinely thinks that his business would be in jeopardy if the trout guys and the Great Western Lochs, you know, got wind that he was supportive of pike and pike anglers and stuff like that there. Now this might sound alien to a lot of you guys. You might be thinking, at the end of the day, it's just fishing. What's the story here? I'm going to show you a series of photographs now that were taken before the Republic of Ireland went into the latest lockdown for the COVID. I'll show you these photographs now. These photographs are from a group of, they're not anglers, by Jesus they're not anglers. It's called the Lough Erne Pike Research and Control Group. Now, I'm banned from their site because I asked too many questions. I wasn't rude, you know, I wasn't slagging anyone off or, you know, anything like that. I just posted scientific evidence and facts, and they didn't like that, so I got banned from their page. Well, this last couple of days, I think since yesterday morning, I've been getting sent the link to this page with their photographs of like dozens of dead fish. What these guys are doing, they have the trout anglers in the Western Loughs, not all of them, I have to clarify, not all of them. There is a hardcore group of trout anglers in the Western Loughs of the Republic of Ireland who believe it's their God-given right to kill everything they catch. It's their God-given right. These guys will go out and fish for trout in competitions and catch 5 and 6 trout and have maybe 30 or 40 boats with 3 guys each in it, all catching 5 or 6 trout and knocking them on the head. Now, these competitions happen quite a lot in the Republic. The trout anglers then kind of ask the question, where's all the trout going? You know, totally oblivious to the fact that any trout they catch, they kill. You're dealing with a group of people that I honestly think, when they post photographs like what I've shown you, I honestly think they're doing it for a rise. I think they get off on winding up other anglers. I think genuinely they get off on pissing off the pike angling community. Now, because I live in Northern Ireland, anything I say to them, they instantly write off as, oh, you're just a guy from Northern Ireland, it's none of your fucking business. Say, alright, okay. The PAC, Pike Angling Club of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and it raised questions about it. And it got the old sectarian, you know, anti-English, we're not having no English people tell us how to manage our fishery stuff. So they took it very hostile that the English people were saying, you know, you shouldn't be doing this. Even their own countrymen, I mean, there is a group that I'm very, very close to, it's called the Irish Pike Society. There is guys that run it, and when I tell you that they are the most dedicated anglers you'll ever meet in your life, these guys are rock solid anglers. They don't hate salmon, they don't hate trout, they don't hate, you know, anything really. These guys would be anglers that would class themselves as 100% catch and release. Everything they catch is purely for a sport, and the fish are released unharmed back to the loch. So when Irish guys started asking other Irish guys, you know, why are you doing this? It all got very hostile. There was rules made up in the government in Dublin that was kind of snuck under the table, which meant that pike could be culled whenever, however, whatever, you know, by the game anglers, the trout anglers. Now, the Irish Pike Society went to court, spent a lot of money getting lawyers, and eventually they overturned this law because they provided the scientific fact that no, pike are not a fucking introduced species. They are native. You know, they're going to argue that pike were never in Ireland until the last ice age. The last ice age was thousands of years ago. At what point do you think, well, okay, if it's been here for thousands of years, you know, it's a natural fish? If you look at the spread of pike across the globe, they are mostly spread right across the northern hemisphere. There's pike in Canada, there's pike in America, there's pike all over Europe, all over Russia. You know, it's one of those species that has a band around the globe, and that's where they habitat. Now personally, I love catching pike. To me they are the best fish in the water because they are the apex predator. But that's me. That's my feelings. This is why you're watching my channel and me catch pike, you know, or try to catch pike. The clubs around Corrib, specifically the trout clubs, now, it's not that many of them. If you're talking about 40 people, it's lucky. And out of that 40, there's maybe only about 10 of them that's the hardcore. This hardcore group, it's like I said before, I do honestly think they get they get a hard on for upsetting the pike anglers. Scientists have wheeled out fact after fact and study after study to show that the predominant diet of the pike in the Great Western Lochs is coarse fish. You know, coarse fish. There's an abundance of coarse fish. A pike isn't going to expel energy chasing after a healthy trout. It's going to get stuck into roach that don't move so fast, or perch, or hybrid bream roach. The culling was started back in the 90s by the then government body, the Western Fisheries, the WRFB, Western Regional Fisheries Board. And these guys were just barbarians. You know, you get photographs appeared on different magazines of slack-jawed idiots holding up a gaff, pulling the pig's belly out, and thinking, this is the only way to treat them, har har har. So you'd have that sort of thing to contend with. Guys like David Overy, you know, bent over backwards to try and get this stupidness stopped, but it's been going on and on and on, and it still goes on to this day. The trout groups in the Great Western Lochs basically apply for what's called Section 5 exemption. This gives them the right to kill all the pike they catch. I'm going to have a cup of coffee here. I'll be back in a second. Where were we? I've got my brew, I can talk again. The Corrib trout anglers and mask trout anglers, they are a breed unto themselves, and I'm trying not to be too unkind with them. You know, from meeting these people and dealing with these people, you know, collectively as a group they all share the same brain cell. And again, I'm trying to be nice, I'm trying to be polite. But they've been having these Section 5 exemptions and pike calls for years now. And they take great delight in, they're holding up photographs of these dead fish and plastering it all over social media. Again, I think they get aroused by doing it. Now, if you're living in England, Scotland, Wales, the mainland Europe, America, I've got American viewers, even Australian, I've got a couple of Aussies watching the channel. There is absolutely nothing you can do. Not one thing. Because these trout anglers don't see logic. If you turned around and said to them, as a visiting angler, as a tourist, I am not going to go to this place, this part of the world because of what they do to the pike. The trout anglers that are doing this will do backflips and say, we don't want you there anyway. They want the lochs to themselves. You know, it is very much, this is a local thing for local people. It's mind-boggling that this still happens in this day and age, but again, we're dealing with simpletons who blame the pike for all the woes, despite them culling their own trout every turnaround at competitions and whatever, and they don't seem to understand that if you knock a trout in the head, that trout won't breed. And if you keep knocking the fish in the head, eventually there's going to be no fish. But I'm not really a great believer in karma, but it appears there might be such a thing as karma. Trout anglers on the Erne, or not the Erne, Mask and Corrib, are now complaining that all they're catching when they go fly fishing for trout is perch. They're complaining that the Great Lochs are overrun with roach bream hybrids. And as a pike angler, you have to have the Germans have a word for it, it's called Schadenfreude, where you take pleasure in the downfall of others. Schadenfreude. So I'm going to sit back and have my cup of coffee and enjoy the Schadenfreude that these idiots have destroyed their own fishery, basically ruined their own local tourism industry, because let's face it, the trout anglers aren't travelling because there's no trout. The pike anglers aren't travelling because the retards have killed all the pike. So local areas, local pubs, local bars, local restaurants that all kind of relied on visiting anglers and tourism, well, they'll go to the wall. But I suspect the trout anglers involved don't care about those guys. So what can you do? If you live in the Republic of Ireland, I guess you guys could write to your local politician, speak to him. But your politics in the south is just as mental as the politics I have up here for the north. You know how I said to you that I have something rather special for breakfast? Here it is. I'm going to treat myself. Have a steak sandwich. Now these are lovely. There's 2 portions here. It's got the nice butter that you add onto it. All you do is you get a little bit of fat in the pan so that the butter doesn't burn. And I'm going to try and cook these so that they're nice and kind of, well, I'm hoping to seal them on the outside very quickly and leave them on the inside blue. That's how I like my steaks. So here goes. Well, this I'm going to have to take out the chopper. Would you look at that? It's going to be glorious. I think I maybe have the oil a bit too warm for this. Oh, tongs. I'm going to be able to get the second one. Oh Jesus, that's a bit warm. It's gonna be good, it's gonna be good, it's gonna be good. Steak sandwiches for breakfast. If you look at that, lovely. I forgot the cheese. Bugger. Rather good. Even if I don't say so myself. It is time for our little popped up trout or salmon power to come in. He's done the do and he's not been productive. You're actually watching me on a chest mount, which is weird. It's the first time I've really used it. You can see that. Oh. There you go. Zebra mussels. So even when you're popping the damn thing up, you're getting bothered with zebra mussels. Joy of joys. Right. So here we have popped up Louis. And it's just about to do the dance. So they will. Making sure there's nobody behind me. Not That's us on the bottom. I had a chuck about with the deeper. The water's 11 degrees, so it's not really cold. And there's a 3.5–4 metre deep hole. Well, that's the deepest part of this loch. Most of it's, 3 metres deep. That's 9 foot. But you go past it, it drops into about 10 foot of water, and then it goes a bit further. The deepest parts I found was about 4 metres, 4.5 metres. There's a big reef directly in front of this jetty. This is Ross Clare jetty. I do not understand when they were building this jetty that they didn't just build straight out onto the reef and then build the jetty across. You kind of, if the boats were to come in here, they'd have like a big job, because just out from the jetty there's this big reef that rises to like 2 feet from the surface. They've got it all signposted and marked out, but I still wouldn't fancy kind of trying to manoeuvre to this jetty in a big cruiser. The plan for me, once I get my boat refurbished, this is what I want. I want my boat to do two separate things. I want to be able to load up my boat with all the kit, like what you see beside me, and then go to an island, pitch a bivvy and fish all weekend, or fish overnight or whatever. That's what I want my boat to do. I'll park my car up somewhere like this, and then I'll motor out with the boat, get tucked into the island, put a bivvy up and get fishing. Hopping from island to island and bay to bay is the sort of fishing that I do, that I enjoy doing. I know there's a big deep hole off the corner of the island that's in front of me, so it's just a case of let's get the boat sorted out and then we'll get more adventures on the boat. But it's been brutal with the wind all day, man. And after eating my breakfast, or my lunch even, I could maybe do with a wee snooze. But no, seriously, that's the local butcher was doing a deal on flat iron steaks, and I was like, those are just the perfect size for a breakfast, for like a roll or a bun or a bap, whatever part of the world you're coming from. So I got some of them. We had some yesterday for dinner, me and the other half. And again, nice, easy to cook, takes a couple of seconds. They come with a little butter, like the butter and the pepper and everything, peppercorns. So when you're cooking them, you just melt the butter on top of them and the peppercorns go through it. So you end up with a nice buttery, peppery steak sandwich that I put some nice hot barbecue sauce on, just to kind of give it a bit of an extra poke up the hole. Oh. Come on, fish. Let's have one to the net. One. Not asking for much. Not asking for 30s. Although if one of them came past, I think I'd do a dance. No fishing tomorrow, because tomorrow being Monday, the van's in getting discs and pads. It's getting new brakes put into the front side of her. Because of the COVID thing, all the MOT centres were all closed. So my MOT that was due in like May time this year, or past, has now been put back till the end of March 2021. So this is just the... She didn't get a service in May. Normally I would do it a full service and then put her through the MOT. But you got the fuel filters and the oil filters changed and the fluids changed. I did that myself in the end of April last year. So I'll book her in tomorrow. Tomorrow she's getting like a proper like a proper once over just to make sure everything's cool. I had to get a new battery. The old battery died. The guys that's on my Facebook page for this vlog, they were all saying, oh, it could be the alternator. Alternators are 160 quid, so I'm hoping it wasn't the bloody alternator. But no, the alternator's fine, it's putting power to the battery. The battery was just dead. The battery that was put into the van was put into the van in 2009 when it was made, so it's had a bit of a tough life. So 60 quid for a new battery. And another 60 quid for new brakes. Telling you. It's like the old saying goes, if they've got tits or tires, they'll give you bother.
Well, it might not be a blank. I think I have caught a trout. Oh! Yep, I have a surprise fish, I have a trout.
Oh. Wait till you see what I've caught. This one took a joey mackerel. It's not what I'm intending to catch. Way! But it makes a nice surprise anyway. Let's get it put back. Today's not a blank! Not the easiest of days, but not a blank either. A wee surprise trout. Not very big, I would say it's about 6 pound. You know, nothing that's going to be, you know, in the record books. But back out again on Wednesday, so until the next time, tight lines.